evening, everybody. Welcome on board. Welcome on board, Shauna. And whoever else might come on board and watch this video at some other point. We are here to do a Monday evening live. And my intention is to keep doing these Mondays here on YouTube for as long as it seems necessary, or as long as that seems to be the right thing to do. So I'm happy we're here. I'm happy I get to be here. I'm happy you are here. And we get to share this mindfulness journey that we are on. Yes. So when it comes down to we're going to walk into this inner space. The theme of today is called coming home. And coming home is this idea. It's not even an idea, it's a real thing. But the idea of coming home to yourself. Bringing yourself and your awareness back from the distractions of our outer world, which are bombarding us all the time. And, the last few years, the bombardment from the outside have gotten even stronger. It's been very intense for many years now, but the last few years it's gotten even more intensified due to the pandemic that ran around our world the way it seemed to have done. So when we look at what happens when we feed ourselves with these different frequencies of the news channels, or even if we're binge watching a TV show without any awareness behind it, we may get very affected by these shows in how we perceive the world and how we look at things. And there's nothing inherently wrong in that, as long as we're aware of it. It's when we don't pay attention to what's happening in our system, and when we believe that the fear that usually is imprinted upon us from reading the news or following or seeing it on TV or our screens, right? The phone, the computer, or getting all these emails that are of different sort of protect yourself from the world, protect yourself in this way and that way. You should be afraid of this or that. What happens is we go deeper into a state of fear. It's almost like this fear of strangers, right? Fear of don't talk to strangers. We tell all our children, because you never know what can happen. Don't talk to them ever. And what happens is that we have a tone, a vibration in our body that then goes from one person, from the parent to the child. And then when the child grows up, it goes into society, right? So it becomes a frequency in our society, a vibration of fear. And then everybody has agreed upon these rules. Don't talk to strangers. That's a strong rule. That's a strong no. And what is so very interesting is that there's absolutely times in our lives when we should not talk to strangers. There are absolutely times in our lives when we should be careful. But if you really break it down, how many of us have actually experienced kidnappings or abuse from strangers? How many of us have actually had that happen to us? If you look at the statistics, the numbers, you will see that there aren't that many people who experience it. And it's not to say that we shouldn't be aware. It's not to say that we should just, oh, candy, okay, I'll do whatever, right? Like that's not how we should be approaching it, right? But this idea that we should be afraid of all strangers, not talk to anybody around us, that idea is a very, very fear-based idea. And it's very far from any truth. Because 99.99% of all the people you run into are not going to try and hurt you. They're not going to try and rob you. They're not going to try and abuse you. They're going to say hi, have a great day. Or they want to chat about the weather. They want to chat about the current state of affairs. And yet, we walk around thinking that every person who we don't know might be a threat. Now that goes on a global scale as well, between the countries. Nowadays, and for the last 40 years, 50 years or whatever, we haven't been allowed to move across the world the way we wanted to. So if you, as a fully functioning, grown-up adult, want to move from one country to another, you can't do that just like that. You can't take your stuff and say, hey, I think I'm going to move to Sweden, because they're not going to let you. Because they're afraid that you're going to use their system of welfare, of whatever they are afraid you're going to use. Or if you want to move from Sweden to here, to America, it's not that easy. Or worse, right, if you come from any of the South American countries, much harder to move into America. Even though people do it all the time, they usually have to find ways to do it that aren't above the system, right, or in the system. So when we look at how the idea that if you're from another country, you're not as capable as I am at handling yourself, at taking care of yourself, and you are going to use our system here because we're so much better than you. And then we come into our own lives and we look at, you're not supposed to talk to strangers, don't talk to the neighbors in the street, don't talk to people in the street. We're coming into that's a very fear-based vibration in that. And there are so many times that if I walk down the street and I just go, hey, have a great day, or good morning, that shares there's a shared smile from that. And that shared smile actually spreads a vibration of positivity, of inner security, and a feeling of, oh yeah, it is a great day. When I lived up in that town called Mammoth Lakes, there was a time when I was going to the coffee shops early for construction work, and we would be meeting there early. And you'd hear guys across the parking lots that would be yelling to complete strangers, hey, have a great day. It's a wonderful day to be alive. And it dawned on me that I hadn't heard that for a long time. I hadn't experienced that for a long time. So when I was up there in that town, it was a beautiful experience of like, oh, people aren't afraid to talk to each other right now. But this was in 2005, 6, and 7. And of course, the climate has changed since then. But I just remembered the beauty of that energy of people daring to talk to each other. And then I thought about, like the other day, I was like maybe 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I was at my house, in my apartment, and I walked outside into the hallway, and I just had a brief interaction with one of the neighbors. And I came back into my apartment again, and I realized that my energy in my body had shifted. And it had gone from being kind of not necessarily super low, because most of the time I'm not in very low places, but I wasn't like, I was just kind of, and then I went out and talked to this person. They were moving out, and then I went back into my house, and I was like, oh, so nice to have a positive interaction with somebody. And I realized it had shifted my whole feeling in my system. So then I understand that this breaking the frequency of fear that so many people live by, and they swear by it, can really help you enhance your life experience. It can really open up and shift the frequency of negativity and of fear that so many people live in nowadays. And the beauty of that is that negativity the way I see it at least, is that fear often is instilled in us from the outer world. Often there's a frequency of fear that comes at us from the news or from somewhere, some other source, right? Like one of the social media sites or something. And we feed ourselves with that fear, and then we resonate with it, and we take it in, and we become very aware how dangerous the world is, how bad it can be, right? And suddenly we are part of that frequency of fear. But then when you move your awareness and your attention into your body, you come home. When you come home, if you can move your awareness deeper beyond the fear, you can see that there is a ball of fear in your system, usually located around your sacral chakra, which is around your belly button, or the root chakra, which is below the belly button, around the genitals. And sometimes it gets into our solar plexus as well, the solar plexus chakra, right? And if it's a big fear, it's in our hearts, right? So, but when you start to become aware, you bring your awareness into your body, into yourself. I call it, and I learned it from my shaman teacher, Ombute, I call it coming home. And she calls it the home frequency. This is when we start to become aware that beyond the level of our mind, beyond the level of our thinking hat, there are much deeper, more powerful forces and frequencies in our body. That when you access them, you feel a different freedom. You feel a different sense of self and a different sense of who you are. So even just right now, if you take a deep breath into your system, you breathe in and you release, suddenly there's a sense of peace. Once we start to access our inner sense of peace, we also can become aware of the different frequencies that are also activated in our system at the same time. Or at least we can notice that they're present. Because a lot of times, if you actually really go deeply into your own love space, love frequency, there is no room for fear. There's no room for negativity. It's not active at the same time. There's that famous saying that love and fear cannot exist in the same space at the same time. So the more we sit in the home frequency, the more we sit in our inner space, the less fear we will experience. But this is part of your journey, yeah? This is part of what a spiritual journey is all about. Is to begin to recognize, when is the fear taking over your system? When do you start to operate and think from a space of fear instead of a space of love and trust? Because when you're sitting in your love, there's also a sense of trust deep inside of you. In religious terms, they call it faith. Have faith. In my energy, I would call it trust. Call it trust that everything will work out for the highest good of everybody involved. Trust that when I operate from a mindful space, my energy shifts and what I attract into my life is completely different than when I operate from a space of inner fear. Many people talk about the world becoming the way we see it. And that's also very true. Right? We're master manifestors. We know how to manifest, we just don't know that we're doing it all the time. We don't know that we're manifesting our own sense of reality all the time. We don't know, we're not aware that if we're feeling alone or sad or heavy or depressed, that's only going to feed more of that. And it's not that we shouldn't sit with our feelings. We should absolutely acknowledge and be with our feelings. But when we allow them to become the more part of how we look at the world, the bigger, heavier part of how we see the world, suddenly you have let your fear, your insecurities, your sadness color how you see the world. And when you see the world in this darker light, you will see more of that. So why the world can shift and turn into something dark and negative within a heartbeat, or shift in and turn into something beautiful, is depending on how you see it. There are so many examples in your life and in my life of times when our inner energy has manifested our outer reality. And I lived my life from a very big place of lack for many, many years. And there was a feeling of lack, a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of not being worthy inside of my system. And it was very activated. So I saw the world from that space. And as long as I'm sitting in that space, there's more of it, always more of it. And we are basically stuck in that energy field. And as we start to realize and trust that maybe there is something else, maybe there is another way to see the world, maybe there's another way to see my inner space, everything begins to shift. And as it starts to shift, we grow. And then we can become aware of what's inside of our system. There have been a few things in my life that have been stuck with me quite a long time. Thought patterns, feelings, energies. And when I sit in my meditation, quite often there are new revelations that show up. And there was something that came up earlier today. How when we are afraid of letting go of either a person, a relationship, a situation, a job, whatever it might be, it's fear that's holding that energy activated in your system. It's the fear of letting go, fear of missing out, fear of not having what we think we could have. So that fear propels that desire to hold on to something. And when you look at yourself in your system and you feel into it, take a deep breath again, right? We take a deep breath and we breathe into the sacral chakra area. These are deep breaths. Your whole body relaxes, your stomach comes out. You can almost sense, or at least I can sense, that there is a little bit of a fear that's making me want to hang on to things. What if we can release that? What if we can see the fear, sit with it, and experience, almost see that there's usually kind of almost like a ball of energy. And it's, in my experience, it's pretty dark. It's like a dark, dense energy in fear. What if we can see it? Breathe light into it. And recognize that underneath the fear is your self-love. Underneath that fear, that ball of fear, is the origin of love and of life. That is your self-love. That is your body energy, your innate life force energy. This is your home frequency. And as you breathe into your inner space, as you experience your inner reality, it becomes easier to recognize when the fear is activated and when we're not sitting in fear. The fear is what drives our addictions. The fear is what drives our need to escape. Our need to not experience the discomfort that's present in our body. Yes? So usually, if we're addicted to something, we are addicted because it's covering up the sense of discomfort. And it's so common, it's so very normal. But unless we see it and unless we start to breathe into it, it will not leave us. It will not go away. And it will keep running our lives because we don't see it. We have blind spots. All of us have blind spots for ourselves. That's where sometimes we need I need my shaman teacher, I need other people around me. We need each other on a spiritual walk. We need people who are on this spiritual path to help us see ourselves clearly, help us see our blind spots, help us see deeper and go deeper. As you walk deeper into your spiritual journey, you do become more aware of your connection, both to other people, to the world, to Earth Mother, and to yourself. When you become more aware, that brings a lightness into your being. Light as in lighter, but also more light. And this helps us to keep staying on our spiritual walk. It supports you. Mindfulness is a big part of the journey. Finding our inner peace is a big part of the journey. Releasing traumas and triggers is a big part of the journey. And because we are human beings that have stored a lot of things throughout our lives, it doesn't happen overnight, at least not in my experience. It happens over a longer period of time. This is why meditation becomes such an important part of life. Meditation, spiritual work, sound baths, going to healing sessions, going to healers, going to different places to seek deeper work. It's such an important part of our lives. So, this is how you can release your trauma. And of course, there are some shaman teachers who say you can't heal all kinds of trauma. I don't know yet. I know you can heal a lot. And I know we can improve our inner connection around a trauma and what it does for us and to us. So even though we may not be able to heal it completely, we will be able to bring awareness into it. We'll be able to bring ourselves into it and find inner peace, find inner stillness. Yes. So as we sit here, I hope you begin to feel a little sense of peace, a little sense of that energy that I'm talking about. And if you can't, if you feel like your mind is very busy, see if you can breathe some spaciousness into yourself. Because the thing is, when the mind is super busy, it is like a muscle that's very tight all the time. It's like a muscle that's going into a cramp mode. And it's not always easy to release that because it's so used to being in charge. It's so thinking that it is in charge, right? We grow up and we realize we think that because we are thinking something, we are in charge of this thing we're thinking of. Not realizing it's just the ego and the mind trying to create a false sense of security in order for us to be not afraid in what we perceive to be a dangerous world. And funny enough, when you move into your inner love, your inner trust, life changes a lot. So what I would like for you to do now is to begin to move your awareness into yourself. We're going to do one thing before we start our activation. I'd like for you to hold up your hand in front of your face, just like I'm doing right now. And as you breathe deeply, you focus all your attention, all your awareness on the tip of your finger. And allow yourself to be fully present in the now, completely sucked into this moment with all your attention and focus on the tip of your finger. Feel how the things that seemed so tough to deal with or overwhelming earlier today just seem to disappear. Or the fear of tomorrow just seems to disappear. As if you're able to, and as you're able to bring all your awareness into this now, the future and the past disappears. Their power over you releases. So let's do an activation. If you have headphones, feel free to put them on. There's LEK. We're just about to start the activation. Feel your shoulders come down. Take a few deep breaths into your system. There it is. There it is. I invite you into your inner space. I suggest you allow me to work on your energy field as we go into this activation. We are going to bring you into your home frequency and to your sacral chakra. We're going to help to remove and release any sense of fear or anxiety that may be a part of your system. Odaya. 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 Ay, 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 ay. Odaya. So, sitting in your home frequency is the absence of fear in the moment. Sitting in your home frequency is sitting in your wholeness. Welcome back into the room. Let's take 2 deep breaths deeply into our system to anchor in this activation. Let's breathe in. Hold it. Create space for yourself. And release from the root up by squeezing the root chakra. One more time. Breathe deeply into your system, into your body. Create space, relax, release. And squeeze from the root chakra up. Suck in your stomach as well. Yeah. Welcome back into the room. Thank you for joining this session today. Hope you had a wonderful experience. Hope to see you again next. We'll be doing this next Monday, or on Instagram on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Or we're going to be on Topanga Beach next morning. We have now, the time is 9 a.m. for the Kundalini Yoga and 10 a.m. for the shamanic activation. Hope you're really well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this is something that fit you. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Talk to you soon. Namaste and aho. Bye-bye.